Whoever had this ability is just like blowing the map.
What in the world?
We're in trouble, boys. We're in trouble. The claw. The claw.
I'm just infinitely stuck in the claw right now.
Okay, wait.
Look at the map.
Oh my god.
This is much better than the blue shell. All right, we win, guys.
This past weekend, I got to play some Crowkart with the Mongoose Rodeo devs, a couple of famous YouTubers like Mossbag and Fireborn, a really underrated but unknown and up-and-coming YouTuber Rusty, the Stardew Valley dev, and then I got bodied by Leth.
Get through, but...
That looks
Oh my god!
What? Fun times. This was all part of a pretty big milestone event for Crowsworn, the 1-year anniversary. We got a ton of new info out of a playable demo, as well as a brand new trailer and a Kickstarter update. Was super honored to be invited to participate, and hopefully I didn't embarrass myself too much. I'm going to start with the demo first, and try to give the best feedback that I can. It's simply a boss fight, it lets us get a feel for how the protagonist will control in a more tense setting, and it will help the devs get important insights into their own designs. I guess I will just talk about the fight as a whole, and then break it down into bits. Overall, I think this is a very fun but simple fight. Sir Garen has about 4 moves that he can perform, and then some phase transition attacks. The patterns on the ground are actually really fair. Hollow Knight players might at first struggle, not realizing you have iframes. But once you learn to abuse them, the fight becomes so much easier. This seems like an early game fight as your moveset is pretty limited, but it was still fun and engaging, if a little short. Would love for the boss to have a little bit more HP so that we can style on him longer. One of the worst mechanics that can happen in a boss fight is if the boss can become invulnerable. It leaves the player with a lot less to do and should generally be avoided. Some of the best boss featuring games always strive to make sure you can damage the boss at all times, even in indirect ways. For example, in Hollow Knight, you aren't directly damaging the False Knight, but your attacks are still working on him to break his defenses. I've seen a lot of early feedback complaining this exact issue with Sir Garen, in regards to the phase transitions. For me, I didn't mind it much at all. It was still fairly engaging to get through, and they are over pretty fast. However, I can understand that if you're dying to this boss a bunch, they might get annoying over time. But we also have to look at these in the context of the actual game. The best bosses are the ones designed to test your mechanical knowledge at the point in the game you face them. For example, Hornet Protector wants to see if you have mastered spacing in the pogo. Genichiro asks if you are playing the game correctly at all, and the Hanged Man wants you to chain dash correctly. If I had to take a guess, this boss fight probably happens a little bit after the point you get the air dash, and I think the transition phase attacks are testing your ability to understand that movement tech. The air dash has a bit of a delay, it doesn't happen instantly. It felt strange at first, but learning to use it properly in those moments felt rewarding when it finally clicked for me. I do hope they don't overuse boss invulnerability though. There is nothing worse than your attacks just not working. I do think this is an early fight. It feels about on the level of Mantis Lord's difficulty or something. The Crow Tag controls very tight, movement feels good, the attack range is generous, and the inputs are very snappy. Like I said, this whole demo is great. The only thing that bothered me at first was the delay on the air dash, and I couldn't tell if it was intended or not. But it does start to feel fine after a bit. You also have guns, which can either be fired one at a time in rapid taps, or if you hold the fire button, you will unleash a chain of shots ending with a higher damaging blast. You have 2 Corvian magic abilities, a short-range drill that grants lifesteal, and a long-range damage beam. It feels great to chain all of this tech together. The name of the game is Style in this combat system. It's not overly complex like Devil May Cry, and thank God there's no style meter, but it does allow for nice variety. It's simple to pick up, and you don't have to engage if you don't want to, but it teases a very high skill ceiling, which I am all about. Personally, I'm not a fan of the 3-hit combo system in games. I understand the reasoning. The 3rd hit in the combo does double damage, so it feels good to connect, but it also means the fastest way to beat this boss is just to spam the scythe. However, I am not a speedrunner, and optimization is significantly inferior and not as fun as Style, so keep up the good work, devs. This is exactly what we were hoping for. Now, let's break down that new trailer. Oh god, the cutscenes. The $1 million stretch goal was to add fully animated story cutscenes to the game, and just the few teasers we have got, yeah, that is a wallpaper for sure. Now, unless they replace the opening cutscene from the first trailer, I'm not exactly sure where this one will take place. The Crow Tag is seen hanging from some type of cross, with the scythe buried in the fleshy remains of something below. The original trailer cutscene had the Crow Tag waking up from a coffin. But maybe that's more of an origin story scene and the real game starts here? No idea yet. We get a couple of shots of some areas. We've seen these before from the constant screenshots the Mongoose Rodeo Twitter uploads, so follow them for more. Also, thorns in your game, guys, get ready for a lawsuit. We see another of those purple lanterns that you can teleport to. Seems to be a cool movement ability. Can't wait to see how evil the platforming will get in the late game. Another showcase of the badass scythe throw. I wonder if you can keep the scythe going for as many bullets as you have, or if there's a cap. We see this boss from the first trailer. Love a good 1v1 duel. I wonder if this could possibly be a rival battle that we face more than one time. Next up is a Dex Weeb getting wrecked, an area that's completely made of skulls. Nasty looking egg sac things that are spewing the same green fume as many of the early shown enemies do. This enemy makes me think of like a Titan from Attack on Titan, but just normal sized. And we get more footage of this mage type enemy. The shape of this room could possibly indicate a combat challenge room where the doors lock you in until the waves are done. I am all about those. We get a good look at the grafting system, which was introduced in a previous backer update as the replacement for the early rune system. It's basically a spin-off of the now pretty common trinket system, where you graft parts onto your unlockable body slots that will grant various effects and buffs. One of them is a health regen one, which I will probably use when I explore, since the heals will work like an Estus system, so you have a finite amount per checkpoint. The other one summons a ghost that will attack with your attacks, for probably less damage. We get a look at this guy, and the accompanying Kickstarter update gave us a little more. And the name of this monster is Boss from Trailer. A bit meta, but anyways, this is supposedly a sprite upgrade of the boss they showcased the spine system with. But while the room seems largely the same, the mechanics of the fight are a touch different. So I think we are seeing its first phase in the trailer, where it attacks with melee strikes and shrieks to collapse the ceiling. And maybe summon those bad things, and then when we do enough damage, its fleshy petal face bursts open and it starts attacking us from the ceiling out of its massive eyeball. I'm not 100% sure on that. The platforms in the trailer look very similar to the eyeball phase, so the little summon creatures could be part of that. We then get a look at the new badass Corvian overcharge mechanic, where you kind of enter an invincible state and use a super special move to deal crazy damage. The way it works is after you have a full malice, or mana meter, you can fill it up again. If you manage to get it all the way full to 200% without getting hit, you can perform a Corvian ultimate. If you get hit, it resets down to the bottom. Looks really cool in a trailer. I am a little skeptical of how it will feel in the middle of a fight. Generally not a fan of rage meter killing spree modes in games. I'm there for the challenge, and an easy mode button kind of defeats that purpose. Thankfully, it seems we will be able to turn off the animations in the settings for speedrunners, and hopefully the damage output doesn't make the game too easy. Then we get this guy in the crypt area, and the Kickstarter update tells us its really cool and evocative name, the Shoveler. This location is name dropped in the Kickstarter update as the Mausoleum, and probably includes the skull area as well if I had to guess. I gotta say, the enemy designs for Crowsworn are so good. They have this really unsettling look, and I am so curious to dive into the lore of what the heck is causing all of this. I know it's aliens in Lovecraft, Alex. You can't hide that from me. Also, this guy gets wrecked. Rip head. Some more boss footage of this crossbow guy, and the moveset looks awesome. Giving a boss a mix of ranged and melee probably indicates this is a mid-game boss. That guy's head grew wings? What the fuck? Finally, the creme de la creme. Just a taste at the perfection the Animation Vulture Team Studio is working on. If I had to take a guess, this might be the boss getting out of the mech suit after we beat it. The area kind of lines up, and the cockpit opening is a good indicator, but I'm unsure for now. This is so detailed. You can see the rifling inside the barrel. So we also kind of got a semi-update on the release date, because guys, I did an oopsie. One of my problems with being so new is that it's really hard for me to put my personal fandom and excitement towards something to the side and enter a more public kind of mode. Someone in the chat asked about a release date, and Alex started talking about that. My instinct took over, and I became a rabid animal. I could smell blood, and tragically, I went for the kill.
Oh no! Without being that guy, you guys said December 2023 was like a generous, like you gave yourself plenty of time. Is it still kind of like, you still feeling that?
Alex was super transparent though. Obviously they set the estimated date of December 2023 before they got $1 million to make their dream game and hit all those stretch goals. And honestly, Alex gave the only answer any indie game fan should want to hear.
Honestly, like, I think we just answered it. Just like, I think we're in the stage where we're mostly thinking about just like quality and not thinking, like, you know, we're still hopeful to meet like kind of predicted release dates and whatnot. There's no reason to think that, you know,
or windows, release window.
Our windows, but like, you know, we're not going to sacrifice quality for the sake of, you know, if we do have to. I'm just trying to say, like, we're not thinking about release dates right now.
Think about your favorite games. Look at Cuphead, look at Hollow Knight, and soon to be Silksong. Deltarune, Terraria, Celeste, Hades, all of these devs went the distance and gave these projects as much time as they possibly could to realize their full potential. And I don't know about you, but I will gladly wait that same amount of time for MDHR's or Team Cherry's next game, so I am perfectly happy waiting for Crowsworn as well. You got this, Mongoose Rodeo. When it's ready, we will all be here. But the every 3-month Kickstarter updates are pretty nice. Can we keep those? The Crowtagonist has such a badass attitude and design. Really, the tone of this game is just my kind of vibe. That pretty much sums up all the new stuff we got. Please add Crowsworn to your wishlist, and if you enjoyed the video and would like to see more Crowsworn content, there is a whole playlist, so stop watching your cringe anime shows and hit the like button.